Okay, welcome to an episode of On the Wrist from Off the Cuff. Having a really cool strap showcase for you guys from the brand Under the Cuff, or UTC. They were established in 2020 out of the UK, and they're a strap manufacturer with a focus on more premium takes of sporty classics at quite reasonable prices. You get premium vibes more from the quality of their products than you do from just their list prices, which isn't always the way. There's a lot of things that are just kind of luxury based on price, and I think here they really do their due diligence to earn that level of cost. So I really learned about this brand originally just by noticing their higher level of buckle finishing that was used on on the Notice Matt Farah Canyon collab. So of course I'm a big fan of Notice. I've had Matt Farah on the channel. I've been on, his podcast back in the day as well. So yeah, when they did that collab and I saw the cool strap that was included, I was like, whoa, I need to learn more about this brand. And this is their latest release, which is really cool. It sold out initially really quickly. Hopefully by the time this posts, there's still stock available. This is their updated contour version of their CTF, or cut to fit strap, and it's an FKM strap. It does have their signature SpringLock style clasp, and it's essentially kind of the next step in that evolution of the product, engineered with a universal curved end now that flows seamlessly with modern watch cases. So big thank you, of course, to the brand for sending me a couple of units to review and pair with this awesome watch from Earthen Co, which I reviewed not too long ago, which I think honestly, because of the finishing on this beautiful ceramic case, should be elevated a little bit more, because it's just that finely executed, and something like this really I think ties into that thematically and helps kind of build into something that I think elevates it above kind of what you get right out of the box. So with that said, let's go ahead, zoom the camera out, get this piece in hand, and take a closer look. Okay, now we do have a few other samples. We have the dark blue as well, or navy blue, as well as orange. But let's take a look at this right here. Check it out. I thought this would be a really great platform for me to put it on. One, because it has shorter lugs. So this really butts against the case, which won't always be the case. If you have something with more standard lugs, it's going to still flow nicely, but it won't butt up the same way. I mean, this almost looks like a straight up fitted strap that was made for this piece, apart from the fact that there's a bit of a rolled edge there. So I thought that would be kind of fun. Again, there's nothing super unique about this piece. I mean, it's a 20 millimeter lug width, and we're using a 20 millimeter width there, and it just matches beautifully. And then you can see that nice level of finishing there. Let me give it a quick little wipe here off camera. Sorry about that, guys. And take a look at that. Very nice, nicely signed, really fantastic level of that hairline brushing, and of course that sharp beveled edge. Not sharp to the touch, but sharp to the eye there in terms of its level of quality and definition. Also, you'll notice instead of them having holes here, they went the route for little slits. And with that, there are some positives. You can see positive is the amount of flexibility you get. Negative is going to be the fact that you technically can't really utilize the fact that this does have 2 points of micro adjustment, or I could say 1 point of micro adjustment, just 2 hole options there. You can't really use that forward hole anymore. So that's a bit of a bummer, but you guys have seen these kind of Richard Mille inspired spring clasps, and they work really well. One of the things as we get into some of these details here, guys, this seems like a fabric strap because it is just wrapped all the way in texture. It is very, very impressive here. And of course on the underside, it gives you an idea that it's not some type of hybrid strap. This is actually just one seamless execution. So I do like that. So let's actually get it on the wrist here. Oh, also one thing to mention is that there is a discount code that's still active, so use it while you can. Average Bros 20 for 20% off of your purchase. Speaking of the price, $97 with the clasp, or just $67 without. So let's say you already have the clasp or something like that, or you want to buy one with a clasp, but then you want to kind of do it like this, where you might want to swap them out depending on the model, because you only have, you know, 2 wrists at the end of the day, and you're only going to probably wear something on one. But look at the contouring there. I just feel like it gives it a contour, pun intended. So I feel like it just really adds, again, thematically, it ties in beautifully. I like these little contours here as well that just give it a little bit of extra shape. It's not, you know, it doesn't feel flat. It feels very deliberate, very purposeful, and I do really like the choice of texturing there. But you know, let's take a look at it on a darker colorway and look at some of the details here. So very nice blue. Again, your eyes, even your hands might be fooled and into thinking that this is some super expensive hybrid fabric strap, even though it is just, you know, just again, really high quality. And again, not all FKM rubber straps are created equal. This is definitely a very high grade, and the fact that they're able to pull this off is wild. Nicely marked. You of course have this quick release spring bar as well with the details, 20, and then it does taper down to 18, or does that say 16? I'm looking at it, I would say 18. 16 might be almost too flimsy or too aggressive of a taper, especially considering that the clasp that it's going into isn't a full, like, big deployant buckle. It's very svelte and flows beautifully. So I think 18 is the right choice here, even on this smaller wristwatch, and, you know, where you might want it to be a little bit more flowing. I'll say in terms of range of motion, though, this thing feels great. And I have this fitted on the slightly tighter side because that of the way that this is butting up against the case. So typically, if you had it, you would have this range of motion on it, right? You'd be able to go like this, and because it wouldn't be butted all the way up against the case in, you know, a more standard lug width, or even longer lug widths for watches that are, you know, might be supplied with like a factory pass-through strap. Now, that's the beauty of this, is with that contouring there and that curved end, you can either have it something where it butts right up to it, or put it in something where there's going to be a little bit of room, but then it's going to close the gap enough and just fill that space and make sure that thematically, visually, everything's flowing quite nicely. So very, very nice. Again, the flexibility on this is pretty outstanding. Let me just to give you guys an idea of how flexible this is. Like, that is not normal. Of course, there's the clasp. I don't want to tear this, but look at that. It's just if that helps, this is a very, very, very flexible piece. And again, it just feels elevated. And you know, there are definitely items like this that feel cheap and openly are trying to be a cheaper variation of something else desirable. I like that the team at Under the Cuff went through the trouble of really just, you know, shooting for the stars on their products and really feeling deliberate, feeling quite, again, elevated in execution. Check that out. So, well, we'll go over some of the details while you guys can take a look at this sitting on my wrist. Here, fully textured FKM rubber construction, and then of course with that now universal upper end, which is great. Available in 20 and 22 millimeter widths, 9 different colors. We have 3 different ones to kind of showcase here. Let's bust out the orange. And then the nice thing is you can tailor these to, oh, and also check that out. They're actually, each of them are different, which is nice as well. You can tailor these in about 5 millimeter increments in terms of the tuning potential and getting a very nice fit. God, wow. Here, the orange really highlights. Look at that transition. That is just wild to me. It just, again, even though I know that this is a single piece of material, it just makes me feel like this is a hybrid strap. And, you know, straps that can fool me like that, I typically really like, which is one of the reasons you see straps like Artem and their Hydroflex on my channel so often, because I love the attention to detail. They're not the cheapest. This is another thing. It's not the cheapest, but I mean, at $97 with the clasp, and by comparison, it's pretty affordable when it comes to, again, competing with those upper echelon levels of execution, right? So very cool. I do like the fact that they do have quick release spring bars built in. I think that'll be very convenient for a lot of different people there. And again, just the overall execution. Look at that. It just wraps all the way around, terminates beautifully, great flow, wonderfully executed in terms of the marking, very clean, and as you would expect. So very, very pliable, guys. Check that out. And that's the way you want it to be. You want to have it to have more structure up here so that it can hold the watch in place for stability. Then you want it to be thinner and more flexible underneath, where it's potentially going to be doubling up, right? Where you're going to have the back of this spring clasp tucked in there as well. So you want it to be very svelte and thin and flowing to have that nice wrap. So very, very cool. The SpringLock design clasp, again, they didn't invent it, but I do think they did a very nice job in terms of that execution, guys. Look at that brushing. This is, again, it's one of the hallmarks of how I discovered the brand, is the hardware was just elevated, and I appreciate those little details. I know that's not for everybody. Some people are going to be like, oh yeah, you know, and AliExpress or wherever, you know, you can get something that's, it's not the same. You can say it's the same all you want. It's not exactly the same. Also, you know, being able to talk to an actual person and an enthusiast, and, you know, be a part of a partner within something like that, where you're giving feedback, you know, and working with these manufacturers, and it's not just a panel of people just waiting for somebody else to release something good and then they release their generic version of it, right? Like this stuff like this is, again, it's supporting the community that we all enjoy. So of course I'm all about getting good deals here, guys, but you know, of course people have to make a living as well, and I don't think this is overpriced for what it is. Yes, there are cheap cut to size straps that are out there that are FKM, again, not executed to this level, at least not that I've seen. Feel free to leave comments down in the description battling that out. And you know what, people who are just ultimate bargain hunters will find that stuff. But for those of you that are more than just looking for something to save you money, and you're looking for something to contribute, you know, to your collection, right? Then you know, you should be searching for brands like this, especially enthusiast run brands that support other brands, right? They supported that collab between Notice and Matt Farah. So I just, you know, again, I have a soft spot for creatives within this space, and I understand how challenging it can be. And, you know, I respect when people don't just race to the bottom. And there's a lot of brands out there, a lot of shops where they're going to literally have the cheapest version of everything else that's desirable. It's the same thing goes for watches, right? This is a micro brand watch that did something different. I mean, I think aesthetically, you've seen stuff like this before, but the fact that they went for a thin profile, full ceramic case with these beautiful, look at these bevels, guys, on ceramic. Come on. So, yes, there's going to be an argument to say why nobody needs a Rolex Submariner, because you can get a wannabe sub for, you know, $100. So why pay $11,000 for a Submariner? And it just, in the modern world, it's just a silly thing. Well, guess what? What you want is what you want. And if you're getting a lesser version of what you want, you're not actually getting what you want. So if you're going to be one of those people that are going to go hunt for the lesser version of this, then you will have a lesser version. But if you want this, then this is what you got to have. So, you know, I guess we can get into some closing thoughts here. I'll pop this back off. With brands like Delugs, you know, charging, you know, around $145 and doing really well with straps to popularize this cut to size setup, you know, within the enthusiast market, you know, it was only a matter of time before we started seeing more affordable options popping up. The main difference is that while most other cut to size alternatives are focused on just significantly undercutting Delugs while making a clear step down in details and quality. Again, you get what you pay for is kind of every brand's excuse when it comes to these factory undercutting brands. It's nice that Under the Cuff has instead focused on offering a comparable product quality wise. You know, it is slightly more affordable. It's not cheap. But again, they said, hey, let's retain the quality. Let's still retain the details. Let's retain design prowess, right? Let's make something special. So I really like that. So while still offering a discount over Delugs, the UTC straps are less a cheap substitute and more a genuine alternative that, you know, has been competitively priced within a similar market. You know, I don't think the people who buy $30 watches aren't necessarily going to want to buy a $100 strap and clasp combination, but I don't think it's completely unheard of. I mean, it's not like this watch was super expensive. This is well underneath $1,000. So, you know, I do think that this is still quite attainable and within a range where enthusiasts and maybe even some casuals will be able to appreciate it. I'd say probably as a gift from an enthusiast, right? Like if you have that buddy or family member who has their everyday watch, they don't really have a watch collection. They love their watch, but they're not necessarily into the watch collecting hobby. Something like this could definitely spark some joy for them. Again, look at it, just looks like it's made to fit this watch. And with that, you get a little bit of extra structure because now, again, it's butted up against versus swinging on kind of the pivot point there to where still it's going to fill the gap a lot nicer. But you know, ultimately you're going to have less of that rolled edge exposed. So again, it just looks quite purposeful and nice. But let me know what you guys think. No, under the cuff, you know, their cut to fit FKM rubber straps aren't the very cheapest option out there, but they are a solid option from a real enthusiast brand. So really don't bother comparing these to those bargain basement options that you might not even feel safe entering your payment information in terms of, you know, those different marketplaces. So yeah, again, this is not, hey, here's the cheapest thing. You like this, you get this. No, I think this is something, if you like this, you should probably get this because it, I think warrants warrants the hype a little bit. Again, I was only able to get my hands on this, not too long ago, and I actually had to hold off on making a video because they sold out so quickly. So it's not like, you know, I've been pushing this brand and that's how they're blowing up. They're blowing up because they're doing good stuff. And as a brand runner myself of the Average Bros YouTube channel, I want to make sure to bring you guys stuff within this collecting sweet spot that resonates with me because, hey, you know what? If you're a viewer, it might resonate with you as well. All right, guys, let me know what you all think down in the comments below. If you like the video, please do like, and if you're already, please subscribe for more content just like this. Thanks, guys.